A question that I get asked a lot is how did I know I was trans? Like when did I realize it growing up? Stuff like that. And I like sharing my story because I know that there's a lot of trans people out there who have similar stories to mine, even though it's not in alignment with the story we hear from many trans people. And I'm not denouncing anyone's story, but not everybody's story is the same. I have a theory that because society as a whole is not like fully okay with trans people, that when the media presents us stories of trans people, they only show us stories about people who absolutely knew as a child that they were trans. They knew they were in the wrong body. And this is an experience for a lot of trans people. However, I think we're only shown this because it's sort of a little bit more foolproof. If somebody says to you, oh, I didn't come to the realization that I was trans until I was older, I think that people feel there's less validity in that and there's a lot more judgment involved. And I think that's why we're only shown certain experiences over and over. So obviously, this is a story about like me coming to terms with being trans, and it wasn't always easy. So I am going to be talking about some sensitive topics. So I was born and raised in a very small town. I still live here. I didn't even know what trans was. I that wasn't even in my vocabulary. I didn't even know that there was an option to transition. What I did know was I was miserable. I was incredibly depressed at the age of 6 years old. This blows my mind because my son, he's almost 12, so half his age. My mom had to seek treatment for me because I already wanted to off myself. I was miserable. Most of it was anger. I was very angry. I actually can remember like the physical feeling of anger. Like I had so much anger in me, like it was physically like uncomfortable. I was raised religious, so I was angry at God. I was like, why would he create me to be on this earth to be miserable? And it's so weird to think of me thinking that as a kid, because like I was only a little kid, I shouldn't have even thought things like that. I was very angry with my parents because they made a decision to have me, and I felt like that was on them, like you shouldn't have made that decision. But never through this did I think to myself, like, oh, I was born in the wrong body, because like I said, that wasn't even something like I thought was a possibility. I just thought like, damn, I'm fucked. I'm stuck here like this. Like I didn't even know there was an option to change. When I was young, I played with everything that like, little girls are expected to play with, you know what I mean? Dolls, I had Polly Pockets. What I did know from a very young age, and it's very interesting to me how people will make comments like, children, they don't know who they're attracted to. They don't that is absolute complete bullshit. I knew from a very young age that I liked girls. I knew that very young. So as I started getting older, I just thought that I was a lesbian. That was my, I mean, I guess like that's the only thing that made sense. But like I said, I was raised very religious, and I was very scared about being gay. That was very scary to me. My religion associates being gay as a perversion, and so it was very scary. So I tried very hard to be straight and just I don't want to say normal because I never was normal. I talk frequently in my videos how I had a lot of identity issues. Like I would constantly change what I look like in hopes that like, I would feel okay. I'd feel more comfortable. It never worked. During a time that I tried to like come to terms with being gay, I ended up meeting somebody, and I hope it's okay that I say this because obviously I would never give out any identifying information or anything. But I was a teenager and I met somebody, who was also gay. And I remember sitting there thinking to myself, I know that I'm young. I'm only 16 and this isn't going to last. I know it's not, but at least I know that I'm gay. Because I had never felt that comfortable with somebody before. Um, Plot twist, they're a trans man now, so that makes sense. But anyways, after we broke up, my family didn't know what to do because, like I said, I'm from a small town. There's not a lot of resources when it comes to like LGBT stuff, especially back then. So they took me to a support group. And when I went there, I met my first trans person. And to me, this was like groundbreaking. When I saw trans people, and I know that this is offensive, but I'm saying this as a trans person, like I would see trans people like in the media and stuff like that. They were either represented as sort of like a sideshow science experiment, or it would be like, a feature from California, you know what I mean? Like it would never be like a small town person. So to see somebody in my metro area that accessed like transitional care and like it would like this was actually a thing. I mean, it changed my whole perspective. And after that, and by the way, this is back in like 2007, I started adopting like he him pronouns a little bit because I got mistaken for a guy anyways as a masculine lesbian. I did get questions from people like, why are you referring to yourself like as a guy, like you're a girl, why are you doing this? There wasn't as much exposure back then, so people didn't know how to react. But I went back in the closet. Once again, I struggled a lot with religion, and I stayed in the closet for a long time. I was not healthy in the closet. I would argue most people are not. It wasn't until after I had my son, I have a biological son. My son was about 3 years old, and I was trying so hard not to medically transition. I was trying so hard. And I remember at night, I would look up top surgery because I convinced myself, hey, I can just be a gay woman who gets top surgery. And my friends are like, I don't think that makes sense, which there are people that do that. So I'm not whatever. But like, I was definitely in denial in my case. And I remember like I would look at this stuff at night and then I would feel so guilty in the morning that I would feel sick to my stomach. And it got to the point where like it was really affecting my mental health. And I spent so much time worrying about like, how is my transition going to affect my son? How are like teachers going to see me? Are they going to see me as an unstable parent? Like, how is everyone going to react to this? And it's like my mental health was deteriorating. Like, people, I'm sure, could tell. So it was silly to sit there and wonder, like, how is transitioning going to look to other people when clearly I was trying to keep all the pieces together and it wasn't working. I also want to add, because a lot of people will always say, like, you need therapy. I've been in therapy since 1995 consistently. Every week, baby. Every week. Access to medical transition in my area became a little bit more like, easier to obtain than before. And so, like, I knew that it was finally an option. And I knew that no matter how much I was afraid of other people viewing me as a selfish parent, I had to do this to be a selfless parent or to be a parent at all. I like to share my story because realizing you're trans isn't a linear experience. Not everybody had the cognitive ability at 5 years old to realize that they were born into the wrong body. And like I said, I'm not denouncing those who have. That is a real experience that a lot of trans people do go through, but not everybody.